Instead of a pure opening batsman, why not go with Sanjay Bangar? With all due respect to the opposition, if you come to India, India is winning 75% of the time.
You have been the head coach of the Indian team, the batting coach of the Indian team. RCB, you were the head coach and the mentor of RCB at one point.
Hayden said to me something like this: "Hey mate, you just ran out your captain, you played the last match for your country."
The entire media-driven controversy that was there, the hype that was created, Hardik being booed in Wankhede Stadium.
If Rohit comes into the auction,
Right.
I certainly believe that he's going to go for a very high price.
No one is ever going to forget what Virat Kohli said in the team talk. 60 overs, they should feel like hell out there. Do you think Virat Kohli's aggression in some way led to India seeing one of their successful test tenures under him?
I personally feel that he should have continued slightly for longer as a test captain. When you're out there on the field, it
Right.
reveals your character. You can't conceal it.
What makes a captain successful? Is it the number of ICC trophies that they win, or the bilateral series win, or how they mold the future generation?
It's a very good question, and once you lift that veil of a superstar,
Yeah.
they are players and they are individuals.
Kohli has, talked about this, that you have played a massive role in his career and you have worked closely with him.
He gave a lot to the team. He himself achieved enormous levels of fitness. He challenged his physical limits to the hilt.
Whether there were conversations that you had with him during his down phase, which probably was around 2020, 2021.
It is humanly impossible to sustain at the level which he was playing.
Right.
That dip had to come.
You've been with the Indian team for 5 years, and I think that's the longest that anyone has ever been with the Indian team. And you've seen two captains also, MS Dhoni and Virat Kohli. How different are they from each other in terms of captaincy? Hi everyone, and welcome to the first episode of TRP. This episode is a really special one because we shot this episode with one of the cricketing legends, one of the best coaches in world cricket. We shot this episode with Mr. Sanjay Bangar. Mr. Sanjay Bangar has been a pinnacle of success in the careers of players like Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma, Shikhar Dhawan, Rahul, Jasprit Bumrah, and the list just keeps going on and on. We spoke about a lot of things like his international career, what goes into coaching the Indian team, what goes into coaching an IPL franchise. We also spoke about players like Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma, Hardik Pandya, the ups and downs of all these players, how they keep themselves motivated, and most importantly, the future of Indian cricket. So if you are a cricket fan and if you are a sports fan, you're truly going to enjoy this episode. So before you all enjoy this episode, I would request you to like and comment on this video. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel as it motivates me to bring out better content for you. Hope you all like this episode and enjoy this episode. Cheers. One of the sharpest cricketing minds in the world who has had a huge impact in Indian cricket. One of the greatest contemporaries of the game, be it coaching, playing, strategizing, and now I'm honestly running short of words to describe this cricket legend and icon. We're here today with Mr. Sanjay Bangar. Sir, it is an honor and a privilege to have you on the first episode of TRP.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm very glad. I'm looking forward to the interaction.
Sir, you have been the head coach of the Indian team, the batting coach of the Indian team, and you have worked with franchises like Kochi Tuskers Kerela when it was there, Kings XI Punjab when it was the name, and now you're the current cricket head development of the Punjab Kings, sir. Honestly, sir, it is a fanboy moment for me right now to be sitting in front of you because I have known you for the longest time, and to actually share the same room with you. I might not look nervous, or maybe probably I am looking a little nervous, but sir, it is an honor to speak to a true cricket legend about the love which is cricket for me. And sir, thank you so much. Before we start the episode, I really want to thank you for everything that you have done for Indian cricket and that you continue to do. And it is going to be an honor again, sir, to have you.
Being part of coaching, one of the greatest things that you enjoy as a coach or work with a cricket team is basically you stay young.
Yeah.
And you are in the process of sort of helping fulfill young people's dream.
That's
and they look at the world differently. So as much as you are excited about it, even I would want to hear to your perspective
Right, sir.
as to what sort of a career you are embarking upon, and if this can be of any help to you, I think I'll be very happy about it.
I'm sure sir, it's going to be a help to me. A lot of other people are going to be watching this episode. So, sir, as I mentioned, you've represented India. You represented Railways in domestic cricket, and then you went on to coach the Indian team and multiple IPL franchises. So, sir, starting off with your domestic career, you were a part of the winning team in 2001-2 that won the Ranji Trophy. You led the team in 2004-5 towards the Ranji Trophy win, and in 2006 towards the Vijay Hazare Trophy. So it is very safe to say that you led a glorious Railways team to a very successful tenure, to a very successful campaign. And I really want to know about your journey, because now what I feel is domestic cricket is something that a lot of people don't prefer to follow. So how was the journey with you in Railways?
Journey was, a lot of ups and downs. I sort of did all my schooling in Aurangabad, and it is only for my cricket that my family shifted from Aurangabad to Mumbai.
Right.
Now, in hindsight, if you look back, that was a massive step that the family took, a tremendous sacrifice they did for my career. Having said that, when I came to Mumbai and was testing the waters, I knew that, okay, I was a good cricketer in Aurangabad, but here it is a ocean wherein there are so many good players. And in the first 2 years, I struggled a lot to find my feet in the Mumbai cricket circle. But gradually, after a couple of years, I started to represent the under-19s and the universities. But in a couple of years' time, I realized that I wasn't really going anywhere. So one of my local coaches, Mr. Pradeep Jadhav, suggested to me that why don't you try your hand at Railways, because they too have a first-class team. And at that point, I didn't really have any chance of making it to the Mumbai Ranji Trophy team. So I took that gamble, and then my shift happened again. So first we shifted from Aurangabad to Mumbai, and from there I had to do another shift. So I opted to, test it, because there was no guarantee that it would come off. So I took up a clerical job in Railways in 1993. And in the first year itself, I was fortunate to get a look in. Mr. Amrit Mathur, who was the manager of the team in 2003, he was the secretary of RSPB, that's the Railway Sports Promotion Board. So he sort of recommended my name, and I got to play Ranji Trophy in the very first year itself. So that was a big step up for me. But Railways grooming is hard. Career in Railways is hard, because there are so many sports disciplines in Railways, and they sort of look after the players really well at their formative years. They provide us security. The infrastructure is available. It is up to the individual to make the best use of the infrastructure. So we had a fabulous ground. We still have a fabulous ground in Lower Parel, just opposite the Big Bazaar.
Right.
Now it is, the name has obviously changed. So I did a lot of hard work. I used all the facility to good effect. We had to, at times when you go to Railways, you have to make a lot of things. You have to look after yourself in that sense. So you do your own first of all, you have to take your passes, then do the tickets. Then if the ticket is not confirmed, you have to look after the reservation part, go to officer, then travel, then play, and stay in accommodation which is below par. Right. Which was below par then. Now obviously things have improved, because the BCCI is looking after the first class teams really well. But at that point in time, we stayed in dormitories, wherein 6-7 of us together in one room, with just maybe one toilet, which is never really swanky clean as you would want to have it. In the cold of Delhi, because Delhi is the headquarter for Railways. In maybe sub 10 degree temperatures, at times you have to struggle with the temperature. Sometimes the geyser is not working. So all those things sort of toughen you up. And I think as a railwayman, the opportunity that the administration gave to me was indeed a massive step up, not only for me as far as my cricket is concerned, but overall in the way you look at life and you look at sports in general.
Wow, sir. Honestly, the journey that you have had, and after listening you talking about life, is, I'm sure, very inspiring for a lot of people as well. And now coming to your India career, one instance that I want to talk about is the 68 that you scored in Headingley. And the fact that you were surviving blows continuously, you were came at the top of the order, and to play on an extremely tricky pitch to pave the way for Sachin Tendulkar, Saurav Ganguly and Rahul Dravid to come and score centuries. What was your mindset and what was your temperament at that time to play on that surface?
See, on that particular tour, there were 3 openers.
Right.
I was sort of an all-rounder,
Right,
but I had spoken to Saurav about it that I have opened for my first-class team.
Right.
So it was Wasim Jafar, Shiv Sundar Das. So Wasim got a chance in the first 2 test matches, if I'm not wrong. And I think he couldn't really make a mark.
Right.
And the team was struggling to pick up 20 wickets because we had a fabulous batting lineup. The batting lineup at that point in time consisted of
Right.
Sehwag, Dravid, Tendulkar, Ganguly and Lakshman. So
Right.
that was probably the golden era of Indian batting. The only slot that was available was the opener slot,
Right.
wherein there was a lot of musical chairs happening.
Right.
So the team wanted to have an all-rounder
Right.
who could bowl 10-15 overs.
Right.
So that Zahir, Ajit Agarkar and Harbhajan and Anil Kumble, they were part of the bowling attack as well.
Right.
So the Indian team thought that let us go with our best bowler because till that point in time they were only playing 1 spinner. So either Harbhajan had to sit out or Anil had to sit out.
Right.
So they wanted to play 2 spinners, and that was because of that my thing came into equation.
Right.
I was bowling really well on that tour in the side matches, and at that point there were multiple matches that you played against county teams. So I was picking up wickets against Hampshire. I had picked 7 wickets against Warwickshire. Also had done really well, and at that point in time, so it was meant to be a toss-up
Right.
between me and Shiv Sundar Das. So we played a match at Essex against Essex, and that was at Chelmsford. So in that match, in the first innings, SS Das, who was also being considered as an opening batsman, he scored a massive 260. I got out on 21.
Right.
In the second innings, I got a score of 71.
Right.
So I think that sort of gave the confidence to the team management that instead of a pure opening batsman in Shiv Sundar Das, why not go with Sanjay Bangar, who can open the innings and who can also give overs if required. So I think that was the entire thought process behind it. So I knew that, okay, I had made a start to my test career at that point in time. I had probably played 4 test matches till that point in time.
Right.
I got a good start in the second test. I got 100. So, but in the third and the fourth test match that happened in West Indies, I didn't really score many runs, even though I got some useful partnerships, but didn't make a substantial contribution. So, I knew that these are probably 1 or 2 chances that I would get on this tour. And the English conditions are probably the toughest in the world. Because you have to cater to the swing and seam movement, which is considered to be the most challenging one.
Right.
And the match was at Headingley, which is also considered to be one of the toughest surfaces to be played on. So all these things you know after the event. Before the event, you sort of playing at it as a very normal match, as a match you would prepare for.
Right.
So my preparation was from that perspective only, that okay, I have to hang in there as far as possible, make sure that I sort of form a partnership with Sehwag first, and then the batsman to follow. But it so turned out that ended up making a good contribution, and that partnership with Rahul was really fabulous. We weren't really speaking that much with each other, because he's also quite a silent guy. I don't really want to talk a lot when I'm there on the field. So we knew that the conditions are tough. We were getting beaten a lot. We sort of getting hit on the glove, or at times I got hit on the elbow, at times on the chest. But we knew that we could see in the body language of the Englishmen that they were sort of getting frustrated, that even though we were hanging in there, we were not really dominating the proceedings, but slowly and steadily we are making some progress. And that frustration led to them giving a lot of scoreable deliveries, and we managed to put up a good score and a good partnership on day 1 of that test match.
So, sir, if you have to talk about, like, on that particular day, the most tough bowler that you faced, who would that be, sir?
Has to be Andrew Caddick, because they also had, that time they had a good attack. They had Andrew Caddick, they had Flintoff, who was very quick.
Right.
And I think he is one of the toughest bowlers that I have faced in my short international career. But if I have to single out one guy, it will have to be Andrew Caddick, because uh, he bowls from close to the stumps. He makes you play all the balls. He used to get extra bounce.
Right.
So I felt that he was the toughest to face.
It's and so since you mentioned Rahul Dravid and West Indies, another match that I want to highlight is the 57 you made and finished the match with Rahul Dravid versus West Indies. I mean, we're looking at the highlights. Your shots that you played were perfection. So, sir, what was the mentality at that time to come in and play with someone like Rahul Dravid, who is known to probably for his stroke play and not that big of an attacker of the ball? So, what was the mentality going on at that time? What were the conversations that you and Rahul Dravid were having?
I think conversations between me and Rahul were very, very brief, because at that point in time, chasing 320 was considered to be rare. I mean, that didn't really happen every third match as it happens now. So India had already chased down 325 in the NatWest Trophy final, and I was a spectator to that. I saw it from the stands at Lords.
Right.
Wherein KF and Yuvraj played a wonderful innings. That was also probably a 6th or the 7th wicket partnership that they did.
Right.
I mean, I had did really well in the preceding test series that had happened between India and West Indies.
Right.
And World Cup was just around the corner.
Right.
So again, the team management was looking for an all-rounder. That okay, who can be that all-rounder?
Right.
Who can be the 6th bowler if required. And because the tournament was going to happen, the World Cup was going to happen in South Africa.
Right.
So my type of bowling would have been helpful. The team would have thought. So I started getting a chance again, because earlier I had played 2-3 one-day matches, but I hadn't done well. So this was again a second lease of life for me, which Saurav Ganguly gave me. He showed a lot of faith in me at that point in time.
Right.
So I had a poor day till that, leading up to that that start of the innings, because I only got 1 over. I conceded 3 boundaries in that. I also dropped a catch of the bowling of Sehwag. I was somewhere in deep mid-wicket.
Right.
So I dropped a catch. So that wasn't really an ideal day. And to me, I never considered myself to be a fabulous one-day player.
Right.
So it just seemed that, okay, they've made 325. India was 5 down at that point in time, 210 or 6 down.
Right.
And only 12 overs or so remaining. So I just thought, just play freely as I could.
Right.
And they weren't really expecting me to play in that fashion, the West Indies, because all along they thought that, okay, I was a test player who would only block and who will sort of see the shine through.
Right.
But because I had played a lot of domestic cricket till the time I had debuted in international cricket, so I had experience of playing in multiple positions and numbers. So I sort of played freely without, really thinking about the outcome. Nothing to lose, that sort of a mindset. And slowly, what also helped us is that I think there was a heavy dew on that particular night.
Right.
So the ball came on nicely onto the bat, and Motera is a lovely stadium.
Right.
So it was a satisfying knock.
Right. Sir, one question that I want to ask you: out of all the teams, different international teams that you face, which team consists of the most, I would say, not horrible, but intimidating sledgers, according to you?
Unfortunately, till the time once I started international cricket, there was so much mechanisms in place that sort of the sledging part went out of the circuit.
Okay. Right.
Because everybody was being monitored, and there were fines, hefty fines.
Right.
But Australians, obviously, they try to get under your skin.
Right.
And the only instance I felt that maybe it was probably Matthew Hayden.
Right.
I remember a match in 2004 wherein I and Saurav got into a mix-up,
Right.
because of which Saurav had to lose his wicket.
Correct.
And we didn't from a winning position, we sort of ended up losing that match.
Right.
So it's Hayden said to me something like this: "Hey mate, you just ran out your captain. You played the last match for your country." So here I was like at the crease and thinking that, Ari, what sort of guys are these? Like I've only played 2 balls. I'm new to this circuit, but that's how uncomfortable or they want to always make sure that you succumb to pressure. So
Right.
all those pressure tactics they employ.
Right.
I think it can be called as gamesmanship.
Right.
Nothing related to the abuses, but yeah, I mean that was probably my only incident of coming across somebody who sort of looked to disturb my concentration.
I mean, sir, it's another thing to even represent a domestic team and to play for India. I mean, the fact that you have done that, sir, is an achievement in itself. So now coming to your coaching career, you are one of the most successful coaches, not only in India but in the world. So, sir, before I go on to the Indian team and the IPL franchises, I want to know, why did you get into coaching? Was it something that you thought from the very start, like probably after my retirement, I'll go into coaching? Or was it a thought about and a calculated decision that you took that, okay, I should try coaching?
No, I never made a conscious decision that, okay, I want to coach.
Right.
It so happened that because I was the captain of the Railways team, it so happened that when you're leading a Railways team, you're dealing with players from all across the country. You're not dealing with a player maybe only from Maharashtra. So if I had to play for Mumbai only, I would only get to know the mindset of the culture which is of Mumbai cricket.
Correct.
But here you have a guy who is coming from Assam or who is coming from Tamil Nadu or who is representing Punjab in the junior setup. But it was sort of everybody coming together. So the mentoring that I did for Railways probably helped me understand the various styles of communication that you want to have while dealing with players.
Right.
And having led the team for such a long period of time also gave me a bit of an understanding as to what man management is required.
Right.
So whatever 2.5, 3 years of international career, if you look back and you want to look ahead, what is going to be the most suitable sort of a career for you?
Right.
I considered broadcasting at that point in time, but soon I realized that it might not be, I might have my own challenges over there.
Right.
Because no matter what you say, it's basically the weight of what you've done before carries a lot of, respect.
Right.
So you sort of have to ensure that either have to have a great achiever or you have to be something really good at to make a career in broadcasting.
Right.
So that sort of took a backseat.
Right.
And it happened by chance because I was doing the courses simultaneously, just thinking कि अरे कुछ करते हैं side से. So I did my courses with a National Cricket Academy, and as I was playing itself, there was a chance with Kochi Tuskers.
Right.
They were looking for an assistant coach.
Right.
And it was Rishikesh Kanetkar who suggested my name to them because some things didn't really work out between Kochi Tuskers and Rishikesh Kanetkar. So he recommended my name and I got a chance to be part of the IPL setup. And the real opportunity came when I did some courses when I ran some camps at NCA for the over 19 age group. And from that age group, players like Nitish Rana, Akshar Patel, Shivam Sharma, that group was part of KS Bharat.
Right.
And they are still in touch. So it was a wonderful experience for me as well. And immediately after those camps, the BCCI gave me a chance to coach India A team against the New Zealand, the touring New Zealand team. So it was a gradual step up, but once I knew that, okay, I could handle it, things started to fall in place. And I think the word spread that I could do a little bit of coaching.
Right. So, sir, the fact that you have coached the Indian team, and like I mentioned in the start of the episode, IPL franchise like Kings 11 Punjab, RCB, you were the head coach and the mentor of RCB at one point. So, one question that I've always wondered: how different is it to coach the Indian team when you compare it to IPL franchises?
Two different things basically.
Yeah.
Because IPL is more tactical.
Right.
In IPL, you have the option to choose the players that you want to have.
Right.
So basically, it all starts from the auction.
Right.
So if you have a good auction or a good strategy in place,
Right.
half of the battle is actually done, or half of the work is done at the auction table, and
Right.
after that, the players just get together 7 days prior to the event, and there's very little coaching actually that goes into an IPL job.
Okay.
Because 7 days of coaching or pre-tournament camp, and then you play 14 matches. So in between, you'll have the players will sort of practice for initial 3-4 sessions.
Right.
But after that, it's all about workload management
Right.
and looking after the fitness of players and
Right.
making sure that they are mentally sharp.
Right.
And it's tactical. So I think actual coaching, you have the chance to sort of work on the skill sets.
Right. Right.
And the mindsets of players when you're there with them for a longer period of time,
Right.
which an international team gives you that opportunity. Where okay, you have a clear runway that okay, you are going to be with the team for 1 year.
Right.
And classically, our contracts were 1 year contracts.
Right.
So you knew that okay, in that sort of span of time, you could identify certain areas which required some attention.
Right.
Forge some strong relationships with the players,
Yep.
earn their trust, because that's critical to coaching. What sort of a trust factor actually is present between you and the player.
Yeah.
Rest of the things, they fall in place. But ultimately, what I realized is that even though if you are dealing with superstars, there is a big whale that okay, it could be like here it is Messi, or it could be Ronaldo, or it could be the huge stars of Indian cricket, and maybe a Kohli or a Rohit Sharma. It could be anybody.
Yeah.
But you have to be vigilant of the fact that once you lift that veil of a superstar, they are players and they are individuals, and they have their own insecurities and own dip in confidence levels.
Right.
So knowing the player more at a basic level and then working around it is a factor which I think most of the coaches now, Indian coaches, have realized that.
Right.
And they have certainly given a great name for Indian coaching system, because in the last 10 years, whatever work that has happened with the Indian team, majority of them has been done by the Indian coaches.
Right. So the fact that you mentioned about superstars, I mean, Indian cricket has produced numerous superstars. We take an example of Sachin Tendulkar, MS Dhoni, Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma. So, sir, when we talk about it from a coaching perspective, do they get coached on technical skills, or is it only the mental aspect of the game that they have to get coached on?
See, as you have to be vigilant as a coach. So what I used to do is that before the start of every series, I took video footages of all the players.
Right.
It came handy, because what happens is that sort of you form a library.
Right.
And you can always go back. Say a player was going through a fabulous form.
Yeah.
What was he doing then?
Right.
Has he gone away from some part of his game?
Right.
So I would say it involves everything. It involves, as I said, handling pressure, dealing with their insecurities, helping them ride over those insecurities, and that becomes part of the mental setup or the mental preparation for the game.
Right.
But along that, you can't also ignore the skill part, because at international level, everybody is motivated to do well.
Right.
So I don't think a pep talk, somebody walking in and giving a pep talk makes a massive difference to the outcome.
Okay.
But it's basically the process that you follow over a longer period of time that actually yields the result. So I believe that everything is critical.
Right.
And you have to keep an eye on all aspects. It could be the mental aspect, it could be the skill aspects, it could be dealing with their dip in confidences,
Right.
or if they're extremely confident, making sure that
Not
the
overconfident.
confidence
Yeah.
doesn't really get into that zone of being overconfident,
Right,
and
right.
you do something which is out of your game plan.
Right,
So
right.
yeah, it involves all of that.
And so, talking about the process part where you mentioned, you've been with the Indian team for 5 years, and I think that's the longest that anyone has ever been with the Indian team. And you've seen two captains also, MS Dhoni and Virat Kohli. How different are they from each other in terms of captaincy? Like, what is your opinion on that, sir?
I think MS as a captain was somebody who made sure that he eliminated all risks.
Okay.
And he thought of all angles before walking in. So he
Okay.
was of that belief that if I'm walking into something, I should know everything about it. I should cut down all risks, and only then I'll take a call. I'll wait for the opposition to make a mistake. And that actually helped him achieve phenomenal success in
Right.
one-day cricket or
Right.
white ball cricket.
Right.
Wherein he's master of handling spinners and making sure that he reads the game so well. So
Right.
that was his hallmark. As far as Virat is concerned, Virat was driven with the fact that India had to improve
Okay.
their performances overseas.
Okay.
Because in India, we knew that whether anybody is there or not, with all due respect to the opposition, if you come to India, India is winning 75% of the time. You'll really have to play poorly
Right.
to lose in India.
Right.
Because that is the skill that and the talent that we possess. So
Right.
it's basically the challenge of winning outside.
Right.
So I think that is where Virat's contribution has been massive in terms of one, identifying that okay, we are going to play with 5 pure bowlers,
Yeah.
wherein the batsman will have to take extra responsibility,
Right.
but we make sure that we dismiss the opposition twice,
Right. Right.
no matter what.
Right. Right.
So you still give yourself the chance to win
Right.
away test matches.
Right.
And you sort of, when you think of away test matches, you have to depend a lot on your fast bowlers, right bowlers
Right.
being in the prime shape,
Right.
who can bowl fast
Right.
and who can intimidate as well. So
Right.
I think we did that really well to an extent.
Right.
What was the missing link is that some of the test matches that we should have won, we always felt that if there was slight depth in our batting lineup, we would have probably won more test matches during that phase.
Right. Right.
Which was the case once India went to Australia the second time around, when we beat them the second time
Right.
around.
Right.
Actually, the lower order contribution was tremendous,
Correct.
like Washington Sundar or Shardul Thakur.
Right. Right.
And I think that all-rounder who could bowl and bat
Right.
was the missing link, which the team realized that they went into that direction, and they also won test matches.
Right.
So
Right.
I think looking back, that phase of Virat Kohli, or very similar to what Saurav Ganguly's phase was also,
Right.
since 2001 to maybe 2004-05,
Right.
wherein the onus was on wanting to win test matches abroad.
Right.
So
Right.
I believe that broadly, different methods.
Right.
Maybe everybody wants to do or achieve that,
Right.
but I think some methods work and some didn't.
So I think no one is ever going to forget what Virat Kohli said in the team talk in the second innings of the Lord's Test match. 60 overs, they should feel like hell out there. I think that is something that, us as young individuals, we look at Virat Kohli's aggression, and that is something that, they get, I would say, inspired by to see such a player who's so passionate about the game, and at the same time producing results as well. So correct me if I'm wrong. Do you think Virat Kohli's aggression in some way led to India seeing one of their successful test tenures under him?
It was his personality, and
Right.
I'm glad that he stood by his personality.
Right.
Because you want to be the guy that you are actually.
Right.
Because cricket, when you're out there on the field, it
Right.
reveals your character. You can't conceal it.
Right.
No way.
Right.
Under pressure, your basic nature or your subconscious has to come out.
Right.
You can't control emotions.
Right.
And that's where I think he gave a lot to the team.
Right.
He sort of, he himself achieved enormous levels of fitness. He challenged his physical limits to the hilt.
Right.
He worked the hardest.
Right.
I think he scored the maximum runs that during that period as a captain, and he had that drive.
I mean, so considering we are talking about Virat, you and Virat Kohli has, talked about this, that you have played a massive role in his career and you have worked closely with him. So I want to ask two questions with regards to Virat. What does he do? Like, because we've seen so many interviews, we see people talking about he does the same thing morning, evening, and it's just a pattern that he keeps following. And I also want to talk about whether there were conversations that you had with him during his down phase, which probably was around 2020, 2021, where he wasn't getting the runs that he usually is capable of. So what were the conversations that you were having with him for him to get back to his prime, the Virat Kohli that we know? And how is Virat as a person? Like, how is he?
I think Virat as a person is extremely dedicated to the craft that he wants to excel at. He is extremely open to inputs.
Right.
So there were occasions wherein even before going out to bat, if he had to check on something, or if I felt something differently, maybe between a break, he would immediately apply it. So I think that adaptability he was open to that. And it is his greatness actually to acknowledge whatever little contribution that I made to his career at that point in time. But we certainly forged a strong bond between both of us.
Right.
And I think during that phase, even though if I was not part of the setup that you were mentioning about the 2020-21, it is humanly impossible to sustain at the level which he was playing between 2014 and 2019.
Right.
That dip had to come. Because when you play with that sort of a passion, so if he's batting and you were scoring some daddy hundreds at that time, there was a time wherein he said to me that he hasn't made any double hundred. And after a while, he realized that there is a process to which he can make double hundreds. And once he achieved it, once he tasted it, I think he had 4 or 5 double hundreds in one season. So that was all possible because of his extreme desire to do well and test himself. So out on the field, he was giving a lot. Within the changing room, he was giving quite a lot. And Indian cricket is a 24/7. Captaincy of an Indian cricket team is a 24/7 job. And it is not only related to on-field things that happen, but a lot of off-field things, selections, non-selections, team performance. So it does take a toll. And that's where I feel that him giving up captaincy at that point in time meant that he's now playing with lesser responsibilities. I'm not saying lesser responsibilities on the field, but lesser responsibilities off the field. And even though I personally feel that he should have continued slightly for longer as a test captain. Because he probably captained India in 65 test matches. And one of the things I feel is that he could have probably continued as a test captain for a longer period.
I mean, so that is, I think, every person's wish. We could have seen Virat as test captain. But the fact that, so you mentioned captain, the question that I really wanted to know is, what makes a captain successful? Is it the number of ICC trophies that they win, or the bilateral series win, or how they mold the future generation? What defines a successful captain according to you?
It's a very good question, and one should not really get swayed by the results. It's basically what you set up in place. So it's a lot is saying is that if you have a wallpaper at home, you don't realize it. You only realize a wallpaper when you take it off. So it's basically what you do and how you are remembered by the next generation. Basically in the dressing room. For the outsiders, it's always stats or always about milestones that are valued or that are written about. But as a player or as a team member, you are always searching for that assurance or acknowledgement or respect from your contemporaries or from your team.
Right.
And I think if you've earned that,
Right.
and maybe 3 or 4 years down the line, somebody says that, okay, this guy left something, his footprint on the place that was,
Right.
then that is a real acknowledgement. These are things which are obviously part of the folklore, but over a period of time, I feel it's the enormous contributions that you made
Right.
to actually create a path for the next generation, which is remembered by the fraternity or by that ecosystem.
Right. So now coming a little towards the IPL side of the game, I wanted to ask this question. I mean, because this has been in news for the past 1 year when Hardik Pandya was announced the captain of the Mumbai Indians, and Rohit Sharma, like, I don't know what went behind. Knowing Rohit Sharma's popularity in the Mumbai Indians, having him led the team to 5 IPL titles, and the entire media-driven controversy that was there, the hype that was created, Hardik being booed in Wankhede Stadium. Now there are rumors that are coming up that Rohit might not be a part of the Mumbai Indians franchise. He might look for another team. So is it safe to say that we can see him at Punjab Kings next year?
No, I mean, see, we'll have to wait and watch, because I played with Rohit at one point in time for Deccan Chargers. So from there, he's been a Mumbai boy.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, there was a change in direction as far as Mumbai Indians was concerned.
Right.
But it all depends on the retentions, because that is a topic which is under consideration now. So once you have clarity on the retentions, and after that, the number of players or the players who are actually retained and the players who are basically released by the teams, only then we'll know that who has come into the auction and which is the team which will run after a particular player if he comes into the auction.
So, sir, is Rohit someone that, let's say, if he does get released by Mumbai Indians, is he someone you're going to be targeting?
It all depends on whether we have the money in our pockets or not. Because if Rohit comes into the auction, I certainly believe that he's going to go for a very high price.
Right. So safe to say we can see now Punjab winning in the next season then, sir.
Yeah, we came very close in 2014.
Yeah.
After that, we haven't got closer to the title.
Yeah.
So I believe that it is going to come, and once it comes, it won't be the only instance of Punjab winning it.
Right, sir. So the fact that we mentioned Punjab Kings, I think again a media-driven hype that was created about Shashank Singh's buy at the auction, wherein what the media portrayed were the owners were not, I would say, were not okay with the buy that was there. And, there was a lot of hype that was created around why was Shashank Singh included or not or whatever. So, sir, can you clear the air for us as to what exactly happened?
So, you have to understand that there are going to be certain blips as far as... there have been multiple times wherein somebody's raised the baton, and then do you call it baton? I don't know what it is called.
Yeah.
Whatever it is called. So what happens generally is that you are always already calculating or thinking of, okay, which is the player that you were after? Have you got that player? Is it the right player? And you sort of ultimately filtering out a number of players. So earlier you start with maybe 2,000 players, and then those 2,000 players get reduced to 750, and that 750 gets reduced to 250.
Okay.
And there are times wherein the name appears to be similar. So there could be 2 players with the same name.
Right.
So that was the factor wherein we were not sure that is the Shashank Singh that actually we picked. Was the Shashank Singh that we wanted.
Okay.
But we sort
of
made
was it the same or not?
Yeah, it was the same Shashank Singh.
Right, sir. Sir, I mean, and we have seen what he did last IPL season also. He's played multiple brilliant innings, and I'm sure it's just a start for him, sir.
See, he's 32 already.
Right.
And he's an experienced player.
Right.
He has been the captain of the DY Patil team as well. He's played for Mumbai.
Right.
Now he plays for Chhattisgarh.
Yeah.
So he's an experienced head, and having tasted success so late in his career means that he knows he's worked hard for it.
Right.
And it is up to him, and that is the challenge that we have sort of giving him, that
Right.
how can you get fitter, get more agile,
Right.
and make sure that you give yourself the best chance to sort of continue with the same process that you followed in the season, which gave you that much success.
Right. So one thing that, I think all Indians are still happy about right now, India winning the T20 World Cup. I mean, it's been a month, but I feel, everyone's still glad that we have won an ICC trophy after such a long time. And a bittersweet moment for us because Virat and Rohit, they announced their retirement from T20 cricket. So those two spots, do you think, firstly talking about the fact that, do you think that decision could have been a little delayed in terms of Rohit and Virat? And secondly, will India keep experimenting for those two spots, or is it safe to say that Shubman and Yashasvi have occupied those two spots?
See, first thing, whether the decision was right or not, it is an individual choice.
Right.
But it's always good to go when you're at the top of your game.
Right.
And that's where Virat, having made that wonderful contribution, and it was going to come, even though he had a run of poor scores.
Right.
The player of that quality had to emerge and stamp his authority on the game, and I'm glad that he did that in the finals, which gave a sort of setup of platform for India to defend that score.
Right.
And Rohit, because whatever success that he's had in as a captain prior to coming into the Indian team and carrying that legacy forward, is also a great testament to his leadership ability. So I believe that the time was absolutely right that they chose.
Right.
The player of those qualities can go on and on, but we as spectators or as fans have to realize that sport is at times brutal.
Right.
So it's always good to go at the top. And the second question that you asked about the replacement, whether Yashasvi or Shubman Gill are the immediate replacement. So Indian team is spoiled for choices.
Right.
And that's where a platform like IPL will continue to throw up talent at a much faster pace than it had in our earlier times, when in the pre-IPL times.
Right, sir.
So the younger players are going to emerge. The next World Cup is still 2 years away. There could be injuries to the players, but even if there are injuries to the players, we are rest assured that there are always going to be players of that quality emerging, who can come up and take up any spot which is up for grabs.
Right, sir. So one question that just came to my mind right now, I really wanted to ask you, if India would have won the World Cup last year, do you think Rohit Sharma would have announced his retirement from ODI cricket?
Hard to say, but I think like in 2015, in 2019 and 2023, all those three World Cups, like the 15 and the 19 World Cup, we played in Australia and England. And in 23 we had the advantage of playing at home. They played, they had a dream campaign, which was sort of, we got outplayed in the finals. Let's put it at that, wherein Australia played out of their skins to win and chase down that score. I would have still believed that because he's leading the team, and he's tasted the success now. India is still to win, wanting to win the World Test Championship. So there is always something to look ahead to. And in today's time and age, the World Cup is happening every second year, or every year in fact. So every year you have an ICC tournament trophy. So I don't think that that would have been a factor. Like India winning the previous World Cup would have meant that okay, Rohit is going to walk away. I think he'll continue to play as long as his body allows him to, as his fitness allows him to. Because the player of that quality, like Sachin played right into his 40s, or even Rahul played into his 40s, and with better fitness standards, with more professionals looking after the well-being of player, like a lot of nutritionists also helping, they're looking after their diets, looking after themselves well, the players' career are going to get longer.
Right.
And in that process, if that benefits the Indian team,
Right.
nothing like it.
So it's safe to say we can see Virat playing for another 5-6 years easily.
It again depends on his body.
Right. Because he's one of the most fit cricketers right now in world cricket, I would say.
Yeah. So I think the last format that he would give away will be the Test cricket.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that you will see Virat playing
Right, sir.
Test cricket for another 5 years.
Right, sir. Sir, again, a very personal biasness that I have. People keep comparing Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, which is a wrong thing to do. That's what I feel. I love both of them, but I personally feel Rohit is the best timer of the ball that I have ever seen. At least the players that I have seen growing up. People talk about if you have 2 seconds to play a shot, Rohit has 2.5 or 3 seconds to play a shot. Can you throw a little light on that? What does that mean, sir?
No, I mean, as a cricketer, you're not really. It's good to talk from a commentary box.
Right.
But as a batsman or as a player,
Right.
it doesn't really make that much sense to me.
Right.
Because if you look at a question was asked about Sir Donald Bradman's eyesight.
Yeah.
That okay, because his average is 99, he had some phenomenal eyesight wherein he could see earlier than before.
Right.
But one has to realize that when somebody is bowling at 150 kilometers per hour,
Right.
the amount of time that the ball takes to reach you is 0.4 of a second.
Right.
And even in that 0.4 of a second, 0.18 of a second is something that you sort of are struggling to pick the ball, pick the length, pick the line. So I think it's good for purists. What it means is that how much feet movement is actually there. So when you speak of players who have more time, I think they are more stable. They are not players who move quite a bit. So Rohit, as compared to Virat, doesn't move as much. So if you have to sort of segregate their batsmanship, Virat Kohli is light on his feet, and Rohit is extremely stable. And because he's extremely stable, he's at times or most of the times he's in a good position to play. So I think it's about the minimal movement that you're speaking of. So Rohit has got slightly lesser movements than what Virat has at the crease.
So, sir, one gem that the Punjab Kings, one of the gems I would say, Arshdeep Singh, sir. I mean, he is a magician right now in white ball cricket. The way he swings the ball, his line, his length, everything. Do you think we can see him play Test cricket in the future? Because India, I would say, needs a left-arm bowler, and he has played county cricket also. And do you think Arshdeep Singh can make an entry into the Test squad anytime soon or probably later?
Recently, I read about it that he's being considered because you generally, as professionals, you don't really talk a lot about with maybe the coaching setup of Indian team. Only if you are approached, you sort of discuss those things. So I read about him being considered. I think it will be a good step in the right direction, wherein his new ball exploits are known to everybody.
Right.
And the next bigger challenge for us is going to be India in Australia.
Right.
And with a Kookaburra ball which sort of swings in the first 10-15 overs itself, if you can have a bowler who can give you early inroads, he can certainly be one of the options to be considered. Having said that, Indian team currently, if everybody is fit, they would go with Jasprit Bumrah, Siraj, Mohammad Shami if he regains his fitness. So if three of them are fit and available, then having somebody like an Arshdeep as part of the touring party is always good. Because the last time around, T. Natarajan was one of the left-arm fast bowlers who ended up playing a test match. So it's good to have an option like him and somebody who's played that much international cricket. Like he's literally played now 3 or 4 years of international cricket, if I'm not wrong. is always beneficial, because he's somebody who is ready,
Right.
wherein he can come straight away and make a mark,
Right.
instead of investing in somebody who's only known to bowl fast.
Right. Right.
So that is a call that the next management will have to take, whether they want to go with a bankable bowler or they want to go with an untested bowler who could make an impact.
Right, sir. And sir, one question, another India has produced exceptional spin bowling all-rounders throughout in the past, and now also it's been happening. But fast bowling all-rounders, I would say, compared to the spin bowlers, are not as much. Earlier, as to my notice, we had Kapil Dev, and probably right after that, the person who has stuck around for most of the time in the team has been Hardik Pandya. So, sir, why do you think, or what do you think is the reason because of why there are not a lot of fast bowling all-rounders in the Indian team?
I think it's a lot of hard work. Because if you, as an all-rounder, what you know is that, okay, somebody who can bat in the top 6.
Right.
And who can bowl also, and bowl with penetration.
Right.
So that is a job which requires a tremendous amount of hard work in both skills. And you look at the legendary all-rounders that we've had. This was basically Kapil Dev, who ended up scoring over 5,000 test runs in addition to the 434 wickets that he took.
Right.
Jack Callis, again somebody who batted at number 3,
right,
and also bowled as a one-change bowler. So to do that day in day out in Test cricket takes a physical toll. So the players will have to be extremely fit.
Right.
I think that is the main challenge, and the conditions, because by the time if the player isn't identified at the right stage.
Right.
By the time you reach international cricket, the player is past his prime. So, players who have been early, I think they have managed to make a mark. Somebody like an Irfan Pathan,
Right.
Who also served Indian cricket really well.
Right.
He came in straight away after playing for India under 19.
Right. Right.
So he had a good run. So I think catching those type of players when young is critical.
Right.
Somebody like a Nitish Reddy.
Right.
He is also quite sharp. He can bowl upwards of 130 kilometers per hour.
Right.
And bats really well.
Right.
So there are players.
Right.
But the right players will have to be groomed, and that is where I think NCA will certainly have their plans cut out in identification as well as managing their workloads and making sure that those options are available to the Indian team on a regular basis.
So at the moment, do you think for Jadeja, we talk about Akshar Patel being his replacement or his continuation. For Hardik Pandya, do you think there's anyone at the moment?
I mean, you have to give me some options, because I'll come prepared
Venkatesh
for this.
Iyer, Nitish Reddy, and all the other players who are there.
See, he has to pull his weight as a bowler, like Hardik.
Right.
If Hardik doesn't bat, Hardik can still bowl his full quota of overs.
Right. Right.
So, is somebody, the criteria will be, can he pull his weight?
Right.
Basis one skill, not two skills.
Right.
Because for a team to have the right sort of balance,
right,
you require those sort of all-rounders, especially when you're traveling abroad.
So I think the last 2-3 more questions. One thing that I wanted to talk about is Jimmy Anderson. Sir, do you think he is, in the last 20 years at least, by far has been the best red ball bowler, considering he's taken 700 wickets. He was playing at the age of 41, 42. And there were, I don't know, there were slight rumors that he was asked to retire. He didn't want to retire. So what is your opinion of Jimmy Anderson as a player?
I had the experience of playing against him when he was playing league cricket and in the Lancashire League. So even before he played for the country or played for England.
Right.
But a highly skillful bowler who at a young age had those skill sets of a pure swing bowler.
Right.
And swing bowling is an art, just like spin bowling.
Right.
Because fast bowling is all about intimidation, bowling fast, rattling the batsman. But swing bowling is about outthinking the batsman as well.
Right.
So he's a wonderful exponent of swing bowling, and the very fact that he could play for that long.
Right.
is a testament to his fitness,
Right.
to the support team that he has around him.
Right.
Maybe his family as well, because when you are on the road for cricketers, it's like 8 or 9 months you're traveling most of the time.
Right.
So it requires sacrifices on the part of your family as well.
Right.
So everything has to come together
Right.
for a player to play that long.
Right.
But I'm an exceptionally talented bowler and a challenge for any batsman, because
Right.
swing bowling will test the technique of batsmen.
Right.
Pace bowling tests the character of the batters, but I think it's the swing bowling which actually tests the techniques of batsmen.
Right. So one last opinion on your top 5. So it's like batting, bowling, and all rounders. Top 5 in the current generation of cricket, the players who are playing right now, the contemporaries. Top 5 batsmen according to you who are playing right now.
Batsman playing right now, top 5. Any format? Or
So all 3 formats, if you want to consider it, like let's say you would pick this batsman to play all formats of the game, irrespective which one it is. Top 5 in that.
You would want to have Virat, Rohit.
Yeah.
Extremely biased towards them, so not a question.
Yeah.
Joe Root.
Okay.
Because Joe Root scores the maximum runs in swinging conditions.
Right,
Because
right.
when you're playing at home,
Right.
like in India, you have to be very good at playing on turning tracks.
Right.
So he plays really well, not only on seaming tracks, but he's developed the game against spinning wickets as well.
Right.
So him, and I would also have Steven Smith as part of my top 5. So
Right.
Joe Root, Steven Smith, and who else is remaining? Maybe a tough call between either Kane Williamson or Babar Azam.
Okay. Babar Azam. Okay.
But I would go for Kane Williamson. So
Right.
I think those are my top 5 batters of this generation.
Okay. So top 5 bowlers.
Top 5 bowlers, one obviously Jasprit Bumrah,
Yeah.
Mohammad Shami,
Okay.
phenomenal skill set, a workhorse. So Bhuvneshwar Kumar, would you consider him? But
Yeah, sure. Of course. Why
I think
not?
he's not playing international cricket,
Right,
so
right.
let's leave him. So Jasprit Bumrah, Mohammad Shami,
Yeah.
for sure. Now coming to Josh Hazelwood,
Okay.
a guy I highly respect.
Yeah.
Pat Cummins as well.
Okay.
Somebody who's got a big heart and
Right.
he performs consistently.
Right.
Despite coming out of a back injury, now he's
Right.
playing consistent cricket. So
Right.
those 4 and Trent Bolt.
Okay. Okay.
So I picked 4 right-handers and 1 left-armer. So Trent Bolt has to be part of my top 5.
So just a slight, I thought, I probably would see him in the T20 format of the game only, not probably ODI and Test. But what about Rashid Khan, you would say? Any opinion on him?
When you asked me, I always felt that when you think of a question, it is sort of what is the gold standard?
Right.
And the gold standard is Test cricket.
Right. Right.
So all my choices have been as per the gold standard.
Right.
Now you say that, okay, tell me some top 5 wide ball bowlers.
Right.
Then obviously Rashid
So would
Khan.
Rashid Khan come in your top 5 white bowlers?
Yeah, he would certainly come. Yes.
And so your top 5 all-rounders, spinners, pacers, doesn't matter.
Top 5 all-rounders. I really have to think hard about this because there aren't really too many
Right.
fast spin bowling all-rounders. Ravindra Jadeja,
Right.
number 1,
Yeah.
I would say. He's somebody who can impact the game.
Can Ashwin be considered as an all-rounder?
Yeah, Ashwin, of course, Ashwin as well. So, Jadeja, Ashwin, you'll have to help me out with some options because who are the other all-rounders playing?
Ben Stokes?
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Ben Stokes. Ben Stokes, even though he's sort of now lost his bowling a little bit
yeah.
because of his knee,
Yeah.
but at his peak,
Right.
there's never a better competitor than him. So, Ben Stokes, Ravindra Jadeja and Ravichandran Ashwin. Let's keep it at 3.
You could say probably Joe Root when he's playing in
No.
Asian conditions. No? Okay. And so finally, the last question, your World 11.
My World 11, for which format?
Test cricket. Let's talk about the gold standard, Test cricket. Your World 11. Only the contemporaries.
World 11 in Test cricket.
Yeah.
So let's go with David Warner and Rohit Sharma as the opening batsmen. Kane Williamson at 3. Virat Kohli at 4. Rishabh Pant at 5, because I believe that he's a game changer and his Test record has been phenomenal. So he is an impactful player, doubles up as a wicketkeeper. Number 6, Ben Stokes. Number 7, Ravindra Jadeja. 8, Ashwin. And 9, 10, 11 will be my pace battery in Bumrah, Shami and Josh Hazelwood. So team has a wonderful skill set.
Right, sir.
Players of enough experience and pedigree.
Right.
And plenty of left-handers in as well. I
Right.
think the only thing missing is a wrist spinner.
Right.
But I think at the moment in Test cricket,
Okay.
there aren't too many wrist
spinners,
spinners
right.
Going around as far as
Right.
the leg spin is concerned.
Right.
So that would be my World 11 in Test cricket.
Nathan Lyon or Ravichandran Ashwin, according to you?
It has to be Ravichandran Ashwin, because Nathan Lyon, he's a workaholic. I mean, the amount of bowling that he does and his record in Australia is phenomenal. But I think from a craft point of view, from the variety point of view, and the very fact that he keeps on evolving all the time, Ravichandran Ashwin is slightly ahead of Nathan Lyon.
Right. So thank you so much firstly for your time. It is my honor and privilege that I could speak to you about, cricket, so about something that I love. And I'm sure this has been a very, very insightful episode for me, for the people sitting in, definitely for our viewers who are going to be watching this episode. And again, I want to thank you for all the contributions that you've made for Indian cricket and that you continue to do so. And I hope you have a great day, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and you too have a wonderful career.
Thank you, sir.
And you're doing a great job, and I'm sure that the podcast that is being followed, many more followers come and listen to your views or the interactions that you have and learn from it. Thank you so
sir.
much.
Thank you.